Hi, and welcome to another episode of pianoTV. So today I wanted to talk about a technical exercise called formula patterns, which are basically just like glorified scales. This is something that if you go through the RCM and you do exams, you will have to learn at a grade 2 level, so I figured it was worth bringing up. And even if you're not like doing exams or whatever, formula patterns are kind of wild and they're a little bit of a brain exercise, so they're fun to do. So let's get started. So I want to start this episode by showing you what a formula pattern looks like because they're kind of bizarre at first when you're just learning them. So there's more to it than just playing like a regular major scale up and down. They kind of have more twists and turns and stuff like that. And I also just want to make a note too that we're talking about the 2-octave formula patterns today. You can eventually do them 4 octaves as well, but they're obviously more difficult, so we'll leave that for another day on this channel. Anyway, here is the pattern. It's basically just a scale, as you notice, that alternates going parallel motion, which means the same direction, or contrary motion, which is opposite direction. So I know what's on the screen right now probably looks freaky, so let's just talk about this here. So there's a couple challenges when you're learning how to play a formula pattern. The first challenge is pretty obvious. It's just simply to memorize and comprehend this entire formula. So here's how this works. Basically, I've separated this into 8 different blocks, and each block is a 1-octave scale. So sometimes the scales are going to move in the same direction in parallel motion, like number 1, number 4, number 5. Those are all going parallel motion. And sometimes they are going to go contrary motion, which is indicated by the arrows going in opposite directions. So like number 2, number 3, number 6, those are all going contrary motion. So say you were trying to figure out how to play a C major formula pattern. You would start by going to like number 1 here. You would play 1-octave C scale, go in the same direction going up. Once you hit that first octave, we move on to like the second octave of scale, where your left hand travels down and your right hand keeps going up. So now you're going contrary motion, your hands are going to be really far apart. So once you finish that octave, for the third round, your hands come back in together, contrary motion, the left hand moves up, the right hand moves down, and so on. So I think this makes a little bit more sense when you can actually see it on the keyboard, so we'll talk about it more in depth actually at the keyboard. But I'll have a picture of this little formula pattern chart thingy that I got going here. I'll have that linked on the blog, just, you know, in case you want to use it for reference. Okay, so I am going to walk you through a C formula pattern in slow motion here and just kind of explain what I'm doing. So we start with 1-octave parallel motion, and then we do our second octave, our round 2, contrary motion. Our third round is also contrary motion, just coming back in. Then we go parallel motion again, this time we're going up. This is our 4th round. 5th round, same thing, just reverse. 6th round, we go contrary motion again, far and away. 7th round is contrary, coming back in. And then parallel motion, headed down. Alright, so you're learning the formula pattern, you're starting to internalize it and your brain's bending a little bit, but you're getting the gist of it. The other main challenge of this scale is the fingering. So anytime you do a parallel motion scale going in the same direction, your fingers end up switching at different times, and that can be again, it bends the brain. So I want to hop to the keyboard and walk you through just what that finger pattern is going to look like when you're going parallel motion. So in a major scale, your right hand uses this pattern, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whereas your left hand uses this pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So it's kind of reversed. And you can see that when you're going parallel motion, those switches and crosses happen at different intervals. Because what's going on here, my right hand's switching, but my left hand's got to keep going. And then my right hand keeps going while my left hand switches. And it's especially complicated if you have to start another octave and get your thumb under there. So I just recommend when you're doing a parallel motion scale like that, just take it super, super slow until you can grasp it and play it correctly without just guessing through the fingering. It takes a little bit of work up front, but once your fingers can do the pattern without much thought on your part, it becomes a lot easier to apply to other scales. When your hands are going in opposite directions, which is contrary motion, the fingering is actually super, super easy because the right hand moving up goes like this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the left hand moving down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have the exact same finger pattern, which is really, really handy. So together they'd look like this, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then thumb under for an extra octave. So I'm going to play through this C major formula pattern one more time for you. I'm going to throw on the metronome for this as well. I'll play it start to finish, and my speed is 85 beats per minute. And my idea here is that you could just use this as a reference to double check if you're doing all the patterns in the right order. And just so you know, I also made a sheet music printout for the C major formula pattern, which is what I'm playing here. So you can always print that out or load that up on your tablet or anything like that as a reference. Anyway, here it goes. And that's all for today's video on formula patterns today. I hope you all have a lot of fun learning them. And as I mentioned already, if you go to pianotv.net, the blog, or if you check in the description bar below, I'll have a link to the PDF I made of a C formula pattern. Just if you feel like you need like the visual aid and following music is easier for you than just kind of like doing it by ear, then that is awesome. Thank you for watching. I will catch you guys next time.